The storm over Varyon, 9 split the sky open with forks of electric violet, illuminating steel towers twisted by centuries of alien warfare. Captain Rian Hale moved through the wreckage with slow, deliberate steps, his breathing echoing inside his cracked helmet. Radiation crackled against his suit like angry insects. His ribs burned from earlier impact, but he forced himself forward. Humans had come far from Earth, far enough to stand in places where they had no right to survive. But survive they did. They always did. He stepped into the broken throne chamber of the Karzari Empire, the air vibrating with an unnatural hum. It tasted like metal in storms. It burned his tongue, and on the shattered obsidian throne stood her, the alien queen, tall, radiant, deadly. Her skin shimmered like molten silver. Her eyes glowed with twin suns. Ribbons of energy drifted from her shoulders as if the universe bowed to her presence. "You enter my sanctum with human arrogance," she hissed, her voice echoing in multiple tones, each one colder than the last. "Touch me again and you die." Rian wiped the blood from his lip, lifted his chin, and smiled. "That is the funny thing," he said. "Humans do not die when we are told to. We die when we choose to." The queen's eyes narrowed, brightening. Her claws sparked with cosmic fire. Rian stepped forward, and he touched her arm. Her entire body flashed with violent light. The chamber shook. The floor cracked around them like glass. Yet Rian did not fall. He held her gaze. "You defy a god," she roared. "You are not a god," he said softly. "You are just another thing that thinks humans are small." The queen leaned forward until her face hovered inches from his. "You think your fragile species matters in a universe of ancient powers?" "Fragile things break," he replied. "But humans do not break. Humans adapt." Her breath struck him like searing wind. His visor shattered. Pain exploded across his face. Still he did not retreat. The queen lifted one claw. Cosmic energy built around her like a living storm. "Touch me again," she whispered, "and your body will explode into dust." Rian exhaled slowly, and he touched her again, twice. A hum shook the air. The universe seemed to exhale. Every light in the chamber flared white. The queen froze. For a heartbeat. For 2. For 10. Then the impossible happened. The cosmic fire around her flickered. Her breath caught. Her claws trembled. How did you survive that?" she demanded. "There is no human technology that can shield you from my energy." Rian tapped a small device attached to the back of his glove. The light on it blinked a soft blue. "Humans do not need technology for everything," he said. "Sometimes we use pure stubbornness." Her jaw clenched. A dozen invisible tendrils of energy wrapped around him and lifted him off the floor, pinning him mid-air. Pressure crushed his lungs. His bones creaked. "You are insolent," she snarled. "You are reckless. You are human," he rasped. "And that is why you fear me." The tendrils tightened. His vision dimmed. But before darkness took him, the queen hesitated again. Something flickered in her eyes. Not anger, not hatred. Recognition. "You carry something," she whispered. "Something impossible. Something that has not existed for 1,000,000 cycles." Rian's chest strained. His heart pounded. He forced his eyes open. "You mean this?" He tilted his head toward the pendant under his armor. Her expression changed. A ripple of shock passed through her features. "That symbol belongs to the first humans," she said. "The ones who vanished before your species crawled out of its atmosphere. How do you possess it?" Rian inhaled sharply as the air returned to him. The tendrils loosened. "It was found on Mars," he said, "in ruins older than our solar system." The queen stepped closer, each footstep sending a quake through the ground. She ran a glowing claw along the pendant. Just a whisper of contact. Electric chills ran through Rian's spine. "That relic is a key," she murmured. "A key to something even I cannot control." Rian met her gaze. "Then maybe humans were meant to use it." She shook her head violently. No human was meant to wield that power. He held her eyes, unblinking, unyielding. "Then maybe we will anyway." The walls shuddered. The air crackled. and deep below the throne chamber, something ancient awakened. A sound like a heartbeat made of thunder rose through the floor. The queen's eyes widened with genuine fear. "You have made a grave mistake," she whispered. "You have awakened the sovereign engine." Rian straightened. For the first time, he heard the tone beneath her fury. Not rage. Panic. He smirked. "Humans wake dangerous things all the time," he said, "and then we find a way to survive them." The queen grabbed his wrist with surprising urgency. "You do not understand. That machine erased entire civilizations. It will erase you. It will erase me. It will erase everything." His pulse quickened, but he kept his voice steady. "Then we fight it." The queen stared at him, her glowing eyes reflecting the rising storm beneath them. "You are insane," she said quietly. "No," Rian replied. "I am human. That is worse." The chamber cracked open as a beam of ancient energy shot upward. The throne shattered. The air screamed with heat. The queen stepped beside him, not as an enemy, not yet as an ally, but as something caught between fear and awe. "If we survive this," she whispered, "I will kill you myself." Rian grinned through the sparks and the rising roar of awakening power. "You can try." The ground split beneath them. The world beneath Rian Hale's boots opened like the jaws of some ancient cosmic creature, wide and hungry. Roaring energy pulsed upward in waves that shook the chamber until entire pillars folded like paper. The light burned so bright that the shadows were forced to cling to the walls in trembling outlines. The sovereign engine continued its awakening. Rian felt every vibration through his bones. Each pulse hit his chest like a physical blow. His heartbeat struggled to keep tempo with the machine buried under the ruins of Varyon 9. His skin prickled with electric heat that made his hair rise inside his broken helmet. Beside him, the alien queen shifted her stance. Her silver skin refracted the violent storm of light. Her breaths were sharp, controlled, but thick with something she refused to name. Fear. She was a being who commanded empires. She was a force woven with cosmic power. But even she trembled now. "Move," she barked, grabbing his arm and pulling him toward a collapsing corridor. "Unless you desire to be consumed by ancient light." Rian stumbled, but kept pace. Chunks of obsidian stone crashed behind him. The ceiling split. Streams of molten energy dripped from above like metal rain. He shielded his face with his arm. Heat seared his skin, but he pushed through it. Humans had endured many things. Fire, war, vacuum, famine, extinction-level threats. This would not be the thing that stopped him. "You act as if this place will collapse forever," Rian said through uneven breaths. "Is this what you fear? A machine buried beneath your own throne." The queen shot him a glare that glowed like a blade. "You have no understanding of what the sovereign engine truly is." "Then you can educate me," Rian replied. "While we survive." A pillar broke free and slammed to the ground behind them. Dust filled the air. The floor tilted as one side of the chamber gave way, creating a slope that dragged them downward. The queen struck her claws into the stone to anchor herself. Rian dug his boots in. He felt the pull of gravity shift into a violent tug. The queen reached out. Her hand wrapped around his wrist with strength that made his bones ache, but she held him. Together, they steadied. Together, they climbed up the unstable ramp. "You carry the key," she said without turning her head. "You carry something older than the Karzuri Empire, older than every species you have ever encountered. Older than humanity?" Rian asked. "Older than your recorded universe," she answered. The corridors then burst open in a column of light that threw them off their feet. They rolled across the fractured floor, sliding until they stopped at the edge of a gaping abyss. Rian's breath caught in his throat. Down below, the sovereign engine pulsed like an enormous mechanical heart. Each beat sent shockwaves rippling through the void. Layers of interlocking rings rotated around a massive core of blinding white. Symbols, ancient impossible symbols, drifted like floating runes around it. Even the air felt brittle. Rian stared. "It is alive," he whispered. "No," the queen said, her voice trembling. "It is awakening." A bridge extended from the platform where they stood, unfolding like a tongue made of radiant metal. It stretched all the way to the heart of the engine. "It wants you," she said sharply. "It calls for the key you wear." Rian touched the pendant under his armor. Warm, throbbing, almost alive itself. He stepped toward the bridge. The Queen grabbed him again. "You will not survive if you go closer." Rian faced her. Her glowing eyes flickered with genuine desperation. "Then tell me how to survive," he said. "Because the engine is waking whether we want it to or not." Her jaw tightened. "You humans," she said slowly, "have a sickness. You run toward danger as if it is your birthright." "Maybe it is," Rian replied. The bridge beneath them vibrated. The runes around the engine shifted, turning toward Rian like hundreds of focused eyes. He felt a pressure in his skull. A whisper, a voice not made a sound. "Bearer, return, activate." The Queen staggered slightly, placing a hand on her temple. "You hear it too?" Rian asked. "No," she said. "I feel it press against my mind like a storm, but I do not hear words. The voice is speaking to you alone." Rian walked further onto the bridge. The Queen followed close behind, her claws ready. Below them, light surged. The temperature shifted. Reality itself seemed to bend. "What does this thing even do?" Rian asked. The Queen hesitated, then finally answered. "It resets existence." Rian froze. "You mean destroys?" "No," she said. "It restarts. It has the ability to wipe out everything and rebuild it from pure energy. Entire universes have been erased by this machine when deemed unstable." Rian stared at her. "And you built your throne on top of it." "I believed it was dead," she hissed. "It never showed signs of life. Not until you arrived. Not until you brought that key." Rian's throat tightened. "So humans woke a universe-killing device by accident." She nodded. "That is exactly what you did." He exhaled slowly. The bridge shook again. The engine roared like collapsing stars. Rian moved faster. There was no time for fear. He approached the central core, the blinding sphere suspended within the rotating rings. As he neared it, the pendant began to glow through his armor. The core responded. Its light flared. The Queen shielded her eyes. Rian did not. He stared directly into it. The whispering returned. "Bearer identified. Sequence incomplete. Insert. Activate. Restore." Rian reached toward the pendant. Heat pulsed against his chest like a living heartbeat. The Queen grabbed his arm again. "Do not activate it," she yelled. "You have no idea what reality you will create. It could wipe out your species. It could wipe out mine. It could create horrors we cannot predict." Rian stared at the core. "Light. Possibility. Power. I am not trying to activate it," he said. "I am trying to understand it." He touched the pendant lightly. The glow intensified. A beam of energy shot upward from the core and enveloped him. The Queen screamed something, but her voice vanished under the roar. Rian felt the universe unfold around him. There was no pain, only sensation. He saw stars being born in reverse. He saw galaxies collapse and reform like breathing lungs. He saw beings made of pure energy drift between dying worlds. He saw a version of Earth that did not yet exist and one that had died 1,000 times. He saw the first humans. They were not like him. Taller, brighter, built of light and matter intertwined. They placed the pendant in a crystalline vault, not to use, to protect. He heard their message. A warning, a choice, a promise. When the light released him, Rian fell to his knees. His breath came in sharp, burning gasps. The Queen rushed to him and grabbed his shoulders. "What did you see? Tell me what the engine showed you." Rian wiped tears from his eyes without knowing when they had formed. "I saw the first humans," he whispered. "They created this machine." The Queen recoiled. "That is impossible. No species could create something capable of rewriting existence." "They did," Rian said. "They were more advanced than anything in the present universe." She stared at him, her expression torn between disbelief and dawning realization. "And what did they intend for the key to do?" she asked. Rian closed his eyes. "It is not a key," he said. "It is a lock." The Queen froze. "A lock." Rian slowly lifted the pendant. The glow was fading now, returning to dull metal. They built the sovereign engine, then locked it so no one could use it again. The pendant is not meant to start the machine. It is meant to shut it down. The Queen looked at the engine, then at Rian. "And can you shut it down?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Rian looked at the core of the engine. Its light was growing brighter. The rings around it moved faster, each rotation louder than the last. Reality quivered like a stretched wire. "I do not know," he said. Another quake shook the chamber. The bridge cracked. The Queen lost her footing and Rian grabbed her, pulling her up before she slipped into the abyss. Her eyes widened at his strength. "You saved me," she whispered. "I am not planning to die today," he replied, "and I am not planning to let you die either." She looked away, her silver skin flickering with conflicted emotion. "You are the strangest creature I have ever met." "We get that a lot," Rian said. The core roared again. A shock wave tore across the bridge. Rian shielded the Queen with his body as the force ripped through them. Metal groaned. Energy flared. The end of the bridge disintegrated. Rian and the Queen clung to the remaining fragments. "We need to reach the core," Rian shouted. "That is suicide," she yelled back. Rian met her gaze. "Then stay here if you want. But I am ending this." For a moment, she hesitated. Then she tightened her grip. "I will not let a human outdo me," she snarled. Together, they began climbing the collapsing bridge toward the raging heart of the engine. The light grew brighter. The heat intensified. The sound became a roar, so loud it drowned out thoughts. Rian pushed forward anyway. His muscles burned. His lungs screamed. But he moved. He was human. He was built to endure. The Queen climbed beside him, her claws melting through broken fragments to maintain her grip. Above them, the core expanded. The ring spun faster, blurring into a single disk of light. The engine prepared for a reset. Rian felt the pendant pulse one last time. Insert, seal, end cycle. Rian climbed the last remaining piece of the bridge. The Queen pulled herself next to him, breathing heavily. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. "If you fail," she said, "there will be nothing left of the universe." Rian nodded. "If I fail, at least I tried." He raised the pendant. The light engulfed him again. The engine screamed. And the universe trembled as Rian Hale reached toward the heart of creation, ready to shut down the impossible machine that could end everything. Rian stepped into the blinding heart of the sovereign engine, feeling the weight of a universe pressing against his bones. Light consumed him so completely that he could not see his own hands. He felt as if space had turned into liquid fire around him. The air roared like a collapsing star, thick with a metallic taste of static charge. Each breath dragged sparks down his throat. Behind him, the alien Queen dug her claws into the trembling bridge, the stormlight turning her silver skin into molten chrome. Her voice cut through the roar. "Human, do not enter the core. The inside of that energy field does not obey physics. It will tear you apart." Rian turned his head halfway, though the light shredded the outline of her face. "I do not need physics right now. I need a miracle." "You will not find a miracle in that machine," she said, her voice shaking in a way he had never heard. "You will find oblivion." Rian stepped forward anyway. The pendant pulsed in his hand like a second heartbeat. It vibrated, sending a deep pressure through his bones, like something ancient recognized him. The Queen reached for him. Her claws scraped his shoulder, barely anchoring him to the last stable piece of bridge. "Rian, stop!" Hearing his name from her, sharply, desperately, made him pause for half a breath. Only half. The core blazed brighter. The rings around it spun faster, bending reality in rippling waves. A low, resonant voice filled Rian's skull. "Bearer identified. System awaits lockdown sequence. Proceed." The Queen staggered, clutching her head. "What is it saying to you?" "It wants me to shut it down," Rian said. "That is what the first humans built the lock for." The Queen's eyes widened, reflecting the spiraling void around them. Her breath trembled. "That means they failed to shut it down before. They failed, Rian. Entire civilizations perished trying to stop this machine. It will break you." Rian smirked, even though his lungs burned under the pressure of raw cosmic energy. That is what everyone says about humans. And then we surprised them. He stepped forward again. The core reacted instantly. Space folded inward. A wave of force struck him like a hammer made of stars. His feet left the bridge. The queen screamed, diving forward. Her claws sank into his forearm, holding him suspended over swirling light. "Let go!" Rian yelled. "You will fall with me." "I will not let a reckless human die while I am present," she roared back. The bridge cracked under her weight. The structure shook violently. A chunk fell into the void below and vaporized instantly. Rian twisted his arm, trying to break free, but she held him with impossible strength. "Queen," he shouted, "if you stay out there, you have a chance to survive. If you come in here, you do not." Her grip tightened. Her silver eyes glowed with raw defiance. "I am not leaving you." The air around them fractured with sharp, crystalline cracks. Reality itself tore and thin, floating shards that distorted the light. Rian took one deep breath and forced himself forward, dragging her with him into the heart of the core's field. The universe flexed. A sphere of white swallowed them both. Instantly, Rian felt everything and nothing. His senses dissolved and reformulated in ways he could not comprehend. He heard the sound of growing planets. He tasted the heat of distant quasars. He smelled the cold scent of empty void. The queen screamed beside him, clutching her skull. Her body glitched, shifting form involuntarily as her atoms fought to hold their structure. "What is this?" she hissed through clenched teeth. "A creation field," Rian said between gasps. "It is rewriting the laws around us." The pendant burned against his palm now, almost blistering. "Insert, insert, insert." The command filled his skull like thunder. Rian lifted the pendant. His hand shook violently. But before he reached the core, a strange surge hit him. The light twisted around his body like vines. His muscles spasmed. His mind blurred. And something pushed into his thoughts. Not words. Images. The first humans. An empire of incandescent beings. Their final days. Rian saw their downfall. The sovereign engine had been their weapon. A weapon to perfect reality. But the machine had turned on them. It began rewriting their existence without command. They fled. They fought. They fell. The lock, Rian's pendant, was their last hope. Their final attempt to stop the engine. They failed. But they left it for another human. A future human. Rian swallowed hard, pushing the visions aside. The queen grabbed his jaw, forcing him to meet her trembling gaze. "What did you see? Tell me." "The first humans," Rian whispered. "They died trying to stop this thing. But they left the last piece for someone like me." "For someone like you?" she repeated. Rian nodded. "Humans today are weaker physically. But what we have is our refusal to quit. They designed the lock for stubbornness, for instinct, for will." The queen looked at him as if she were seeing him for the first time. "You are not extraordinary," she said. "You are not a warrior of cosmic light. You are not engineered. You are not even enhanced." Rian managed a faint grin despite the pain twisting through him. "No, I am just human." Her claws loosened on his arm, and her expression shifted from fear to trust. A trust she would never admit aloud. "Then do what you came to do," she said. Rian pressed forward. Heat scorched his legs. His fingers cracked under pressure. The pendant's glow intensified, pulsing in his blood, syncing with his heartbeat. He lifted it toward the core. The core responded. A vortex opened, pulling him inward. The queen dug her claws deeper into his wrist to hold him steady. "Do it," she screamed, "before it resets us out of existence." Rian slammed the pendant forward. For a moment, everything froze. Absolute stillness. Absolute silence. The core inhaled him. Then all at once, the universe screamed. A shockwave ripped through the entire structure. The queen was thrown back, tumbling across a collapsing bridge. Rian was pinned in midair, suspended in the center of a spiraling maelstrom of light. The pendant fused with the core. Energy surged through him, tearing at his cells, rewriting matter around him. He felt like 1,000 versions of himself split apart and forced back together. The engine resisted. The ring spun violently, pushing against the lock. But Rian pushed harder. He remembered Earth. He remembered the first time he touched a starship. He remembered his father telling him that humans were meant to reach beyond the impossible. He remembered every failure that shaped him, every scar. Pain struck him like lightning, raw, unfiltered, universe-breaking pain. But he held on. He would not let the first human sacrifice end in vain. He would not let billions of lives be rewritten. He would not let the Queen's world, or any world, fall to a machine without conscience. He screamed and pressed with all his strength. The Queen rose to her feet on the shaking bridge. She reached for him with a desperate cry. "Rian!" The core shattered. Not outward. Inward. Light folded into itself. The ring slowed. The engine's roar turned into a long, fading hum. The pendant melted into the core like a drop of blue fire. The spiraling vortex tightened, shrank, and finally collapsed. Rian fell. The Queen lunged and caught him midair just before he would have plunged into the dying abyss. Her arms wrapped around him, her claws biting into the fractured ground as she skid across the shaking platform. The light died around them. The chamber fell still. The sovereign engine's heart dimmed to a faint, exhausted glow. Rian gasped for breath, his body trembling violently. Smoke rose from his skin. His veins glowed faintly with leftover energy. The Queen knelt beside him, cradling his body, her expression unreadable. "You did it," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You shut it down." Rian forced his eyes open, barely conscious. "Humans are stubborn," he muttered. Her breath caught. She brushed his hair from his forehead with surprising gentleness. "You are reckless," she said softly. "Chaotic. Infuriating. But today, you reminded me of something my people forgot long ago." Rian swallowed, barely able to speak. "What is that?" She leaned closer, her voice a silver whisper. "That even small creatures can change the fate of empires." He managed the faintest smile. Then the chamber shook again. The ground beneath them rumbled. The engine flickered back to life. The Queen froze. Rian's eyes widened. The engine was not shutting down. It was shifting, transforming, awakening something new. The Queen lifted Rian in her arms as the light returned with furious pulse. "It is not over," she said. Rian coughed, tasting blood. "Good," he rasped. "Humans love sequels." The sovereign engine roared again, brighter than before, and the universe trembled as something ancient stirred for the second time. The tremor that shook the ancient chamber was different from the earlier quakes. Deeper, slower, like the heartbeat of something waking after eons of sleep. The metallic floor vibrated beneath the Queen's feet, sending sharp pulses up her legs as she held Rian tightly in her arms. Shards of fractured reality still drifted lazily in the air, dissolving like frost flakes in sunlight. The sovereign engine was not dying. Its light surged again, not wild and destructive like before, but controlled, focused, as if it had been observing, calculating, and choosing. Rian forced his eyes open despite the burning behind his eyelids. Every muscle ached. His blood felt heavier, thicker, warmer, like threads of energy wound themselves into his veins. He breathed out slowly. "Tell me, that thing is shutting down." The Queen did not answer immediately. Her silver eyes narrowed, reflecting the growing radiance of the engine. "It is not shutting down," she whispered. "It is stabilizing." "Stabilizing?" Rian muttered. "That sounds worse." "It should be impossible," she said under her breath. "No machine survives a lock insertion. The core should have collapsed completely." Rian groaned and pushed himself halfway upright in her arms, though his limbs trembled, refusing to obey fully. "So what is it doing now?" The Queen slowly stood, lifting him with ease before placing him carefully on his feet. She kept one clawed hand on his shoulder to steady him. Her touch was warmer than usual, almost too warm. "It is shifting purpose," she said. "It is not a weapon anymore." The engine pulsed again. A low hum rolled through the air, steady and rhythmic, like a massive creature breathing. Rian blinked. "That does not sound comforting." Her gaze sharpened. "There is something else. I can feel something different in you." He frowned. Different how? The Queen took his wrist and turned his hand palm up. Faint blue lines glowed beneath his skin, weaving up his arm in delicate spirals. Leftovers from the core's energy. They pulsed in harmony with the stabilizing engine. Rian's breath hitched. That is new. You absorbed a portion of the core's rewriting wave, she said. No human has done that and lived. Rian flexed his fingers. The glow brightened, then dimmed. I am still here, he said. For now, she replied softly. The chamber shuddered again, but differently. Less violent, more controlled. The rings around the core adjusted themselves, clicking into new positions like celestial gears aligning. A beam of light shot upward, carving a narrow column through the air and striking the ceiling. The stone above dissolved into particles that drifted upward like smoke. The Queen watched intently. It is creating an opening. An escape route? Rian asked. Or an invitation, she said. Rian sighed. Of course, because stepping into cosmic horror beams is exactly what humans love to do. She turned to him sharply. I am serious. So am I, he muttered. The engine emitted a soft vibration, like a voice humming through the floor. It resonated in Rian's ribs. Then something else happened. Words, not sound but understanding, formed in the space behind his eyes. You carried the lock. You halted the reset. Now integrate. Now ascend. Rian stumbled. The Queen caught him by the elbow. What is it telling you? Rian swallowed. It wants me to integrate. She stared at him. Integrate with what? Rian pointed toward the core. With that. Her claws tightened involuntarily, her chest rising sharply with alarm. No, absolutely not. You survived one encounter with the core only because the lock shielded you. Now that the lock is gone, you will die. Rian looked at the swirling heart of light. I do not think it wants to kill me. You are not listening, she snapped. The engine has no desire. It is a system. It does not want anything. It calculates. It consumes. It reshapes. That is what it was designed for. Rian shook his head. That is what it used to be. The Queen's expression darkened. You are thinking like a human again. That is because I am one. Rian stepped forward, and the engine's light intensified, recognizing his movement, responding to it. The Queen moved with him, her claws shifting to her combat stance. If you go closer, I will drag you back by force, she threatened. He looked at her, not angry, just determined. You saved me twice already. Both times when you did not have to. But this time you cannot stop me. Her voice broke for a moment. Rian, please. He froze. The word hit him harder than the waves of energy had. She had never said please to anyone. Ever. He turned toward her fully. Her silver skin flickered with stress patterns. Her luminous eyes softened, revealing something she had tried to hide. Fear. Not for herself, but for him. If you step into that light, I do not know what will happen, she whispered. A human body is fragile. Your mind, even more so. The engine may decide you are compatible, or it may erase you. Rian placed a shaky hand on her forearm. You said humans run toward danger, like is our birthright. Yes, she whispered. And now I finally understand why. It terrifies me. Rian gave a tired but genuine smile. Good. Means you are starting to get us. He took another step toward the core. The Queen stepped with him again, refusing to let him stand alone. The engine's rings shifted once more, opening like an iris. A path of floating platforms formed, metallic tiles rising from the void one by one, leading toward the core. Rian exhaled. Well, that is convenient. The Queen tightened her grip on his shoulder. You are not going alone. He stared at her. You might not survive if you enter the inner field. I am royalty, she said. I do not let others face unknown threats without me. Rian chuckled under his breath. Is that your way of saying you care? She bared her fangs in a faint snarl. Do not push your luck, human. They stepped onto the first floating platform. It hummed under their weight and carried them forward. The chamber stretched and contracted around them like breathing architecture. Rian felt the energy waves brushing against his skin, electric, warm, Ancient, not hostile, not welcoming, simply aware. The queen's skin gleamed like liquid metal. Her eyes flickered with shifting shades of luminescent violet. "Your heart rate is increasing," she said. "Because we are walking into the cosmic version of a blender," Rian said. "That is an inaccurate analogy. Tell that to my nerves." Another platform rose behind them, sealing their path. No turning back. They moved deeper into the core's chamber. The light intensified, but it did not burn now. It felt like waves of warm pressure rolling over his body, sinking into muscle, bone, thought. Rian inhaled sharply. He heard whispers, faint, distant, layered with meaning. The queen paused. "What is happening?" "I can hear something," he said. She tilted her head. "I hear nothing. It is talking to me again." "What does it say?" Rian closed his eyes and listened. The whispering filled the darkness behind his eyelids, soft, pulsing, rhythmic. Sequence accepted. Human bearer designated. Reconstruction protocol unlocked. Awaiting integration. Rian opened his eyes slowly. "It has given me access to something. Something big." "How big?" she asked. Rian stared into the core. "I think it wants me to control it." Her eyes widened. "No," she hissed. "That cannot be allowed." Rian blinked, stunned. "Why not?" "Because no species should have the power to rewrite reality at will," she said. "And especially not a species as unpredictable as yours." Rian hesitated. She was not wrong. Humans made incredible things and terrible things. "I do not think it wants me to rewrite reality," he said. "It wants me to guide it, contain it, stabilize it." The queen stared at him. "You will become its overseer?" Rian exhaled. "Looks like it." She grabbed both his shoulders, her claws surprisingly gentle. "Rian Hale," she said quietly, "if you bond with that machine, you will no longer be entirely human, and you will no longer belong to any world." He looked into her eyes. "If I do not, everyone dies. Every world. Yours, mine, all of them." Her expression tightened. Light rippled across her skin like waves. She leaned her forehead against his, a gesture he recognized as deeply personal among her kind. "If you survive this," she whispered, "your life will change, and so will mine." Rian lifted a hand and rested it against her cheek. "I know." The core flared brighter. The final platform rose beneath them, lifting them directly before the swirling heart of the engine. Rian took one deep breath. Then he stepped into the light. The moment Rian stepped fully into the heart of the sovereign engine, reality itself bent around him. Light fractured into ribbons of every imaginable color, each thread vibrating with a resonance that felt like the pulse of the universe. His feet did not touch anything solid, yet he felt the floor beneath him, or what the machine dictated to be the floor, pressing him upward and downward simultaneously. The queen's voice reached him through the pulse of the light, soft and tremulous. "Rian, what are you feeling?" He swallowed hard, trying to find words, while the air itself seemed to seep into his lungs and merge with his blood. "I feel everything," he said. "Every planet, every star, every life form that ever existed, every death, and something else. Something alive inside the machine." The queen's glowing eyes flickered violet and silver, reflecting the chaotic brilliance of the engine. "You are attuned," she whispered. "No human has ever survived this exposure." Rian felt a deep surge of energy climbing from his chest into his head, twisting neurons and synapses into patterns he could barely comprehend. It was not pain. It was comprehension. Knowledge. Power. All of it demanding attention, integration, control. The whispers came again, now louder, clearer. "Integration is mandatory. Bearer will stabilize. Reality requires guidance." He looked around, or at least what passed for around inside the core's infinite folds. The queen was floating beside him, suspended by her own manipulation of the light. "Are you to survive?" she asked. Rian laughed, though it was strained. "I do not know, but humans always find a way." A shockwave ran through the engine. It was not violent, not destructive. It was evaluative, like the machine was testing him, feeling him, gauging his resilience. He felt the pulse of every heartbeat across the galaxy, 1,000 species, 1,000,000 stars, and he realized the sovereign engine had begun to connect him to everything. The Queen reached out a hand, and he grasped it instinctively. "Do not let it overwhelm you," she said. "Focus on your own mind." He nodded, though the concept of a singular mind felt laughable now. Energy flowed into him through the pendant fuse of the core, not forcibly, but willingly, as if the machine had recognized the compatibility it sought. The whispers became a chorus. "Bearer, stabilize, sequence unlock, rebuild." "Sequence what?" he asked aloud, his voice echoing strangely through the surreal chamber. "Reality, existence, balance." He realized the first humans had not only built a weapon, they had built a steward, a guardian, a consciousness within the machine capable of managing the unimaginable. "It chose you," he whispered. The Queen shivered beside him. "You understand, do you?" she asked. "Yes," he said, "but understanding is different from controlling it." The core pulsed in response. Ribbons of light wrapped around his body, not to consume, but to link. He could feel every subroutine of the engine, every calculation, every potential timeline flowing through him. He took a deep breath, and something shifted. His vision expanded beyond the chamber, beyond the planet, beyond the solar system. He saw alien civilizations, thriving and dying. He saw wars that had never existed and peace that had never lasted. He saw impossibilities, paradoxes, and solutions simultaneously. And yet, he felt the machine waiting, patient, expectant. It whispered again. "Align. Stabilize. Balance." Rian clenched the pendant. "I do not know how to align a universe," he muttered. The energy responded almost instantly, molding his thoughts into focus. "You are learning," the Queen said softly, "faster than any being before you." He closed his eyes. The voices did not stop. They layered into a symphony of equations, emotions, possibilities, histories, and futures. He felt something stirring deep inside himself, a spark of defiance, the human instinct to survive, to endure, to conquer impossible odds. He extended that spark into the machine. Just a flicker, a human heartbeat amidst the vast cosmic logic of the engine. The sovereign engine paused. The hum subsided. The light pulsed gently, rhythmically. He could feel it listening. It waited. Rian opened his eyes. He saw a galaxy being rewritten, not destroyed, not reset, but refined. Stars aligned. Worlds stabilized. Civilizations balanced across timelines. And through it all, a faint, almost imperceptible thread of human presence, a heartbeat of stubbornness, defiance, and ingenuity, flowed through the machine. The Queen's eyes widened. You're doing it." Rian exhaled, sweat and energy burning across his skin. "I am cooperating," he said. "I am not controlling it. I am guiding it, helping it understand balance through the human perspective." The core shifted, swirling faster, brighter, but without aggression. It felt alive, responsive, intelligent. Rian realized the first humans had not failed. They had prepared for someone like him, someone who could survive the raw exposure, who could think unpredictably, who could approach chaos with a mix of courage, intellect, and sheer stubbornness. Bearer, balance achieved, integration successful. The words resonated in his mind as a calm settled over the chaos. He opened his eyes fully. The chamber was still collapsing outside the core, the bridge burning and fracturing. But inside it was serene, almost holy. The Queen floated beside him, written across her features. "You stabilized it," she whispered. "You are the first to succeed." Rian allowed himself a faint smile. "It feels weird," he admitted. "I can feel everything. Every world, every life. And yet, I feel human." "Your species has a remarkable quality," she said softly. "Resilience, creativity, stubbornness, and arrogance," Rian added with a chuckle. She did not smile, but her eyes softened. "That too," she said. The core pulsed gently, responding to him, as if it had recognized its new steward. It was no longer a threat. It was a partner. Rian stretched his arms slightly, feeling the energy flow into every fiber of his being. It was intoxicating, terrifying, and empowering all at once. The Queen hesitated before speaking again. "Rian, what happens now?" He looked at her, seeing both awe and fear mirrored in her luminescent eyes. "I do not know," he admitted, "but I am human, and humans, we adapt." The platform beneath them shifted, slowly descending toward what remained of the chamber. The energy of the engine flowed around them like a protective cocoon. Outside, the collapsing architecture of Varian 9 trembled, but inside, Rian felt control. A tenuous control, but real. He could sense every imperfection, every fluctuation in the core, and with each breath, he nudged it toward stability. The Queen stepped closer. "You could destroy worlds with that power," she said softly. "You could rewrite existence entirely." "I could," he admitted, "but I choose not to. Humans, we do not always choose the easiest path. We choose the path that survives, the path that preserves others, the path that endures." Her gaze lingered on him, unblinking. She placed a hand on his arm, not to hold, not to guide, but to acknowledge. "You are more dangerous than I realized," she said, "and yet more remarkable." Rian chuckled quietly. "Funny thing about humans, we scare everyone, including gods." The light around them dimmed slightly, settling into a steady glow. The platform carried them down toward a shattered exit from the throne chamber. Dust and debris fell around them like metallic rain. Outside, the remnants of the Karzari Empire's capital trembled with the aftershocks of the engine's awakening. The Queen looked at Rian. "Even now," she said, "I do not know if you can survive leaving this place." Rian's eyes glimmered with determination. "We always do," he said. The core pulsed once more, a gentle, affirming rhythm. It was no longer violent. It was alive, aware, and somehow reliant on him. Rian took a step forward. The Queen followed. Together, they moved across the fractured platform, descending into the debris and chaos of a world that might have ended. And as they walked, the hum of the engine followed, not threatening, not chaotic, but guiding. It whispered of possibilities, of worlds saved, of civilizations balanced, of humans, unpredictable and daring, standing at the center of it all. Rian exhaled, letting the energy settle around him. He could feel the universe shifting slightly, bending toward equilibrium under his influence. The Queen glanced at him again, her expression unreadable. "Do you realize what you've become?" she asked softly. "I am human," he said with a faint grin. "And that is enough." The core pulsed one last time in response. Or maybe it was acknowledgement. Rian stepped fully onto solid ground again. The Queen followed, her claws scraping against broken metal and stone. They were both covered in energy residue, but alive. Outside the chamber, the stars seemed brighter. Varian 9 had not been destroyed. It had survived. And so had they. But the engine was awake. And it waited. It had recognized its human guardian. And it was patient. The universe trembled softly around them. Possibilities stretched infinitely. Challenges awaited. Enemies would rise. And humans would rise again. Rian looked at the Queen. "You ready for whatever comes next?" he asked. Her glowing eyes met his. "I am ready," she said. "But do not expect me to make it easy." He smiled. "Would not want it any other way." The light of the engine pulsed behind them. A hum of promise, danger, and infinite possibility. Rian Hale stepped forward into the chaos of a universe that had underestimated humans once again. Rian Hale stepped from the fractured platform into the open expanse of the throne chamber, his body humming with the residual energy of the sovereign engine. The world around him was a shattered mosaic of stone and metal, the remnants of the Karzari Empire crumbling under the weight of centuries. Dust swirled lazily in the air, glinting in the soft radiance that now flowed from the stabilized core, casting long, distorted shadows across the warped walls. The once violent chamber, torn apart by unbridled power, now breathed a fragile calm, as if exhaling centuries of suppressed fury. The Queen remained at his side, her silver form shimmering faintly, reflecting the subtle waves of energy that danced through the room. For a moment, they stood in silence, both breathing heavily, hearts echoing the slow pulse of the engine. It was not an oppressive silence. It was a moment of equilibrium, a balance achieved through courage, stubbornness, and the sheer unpredictability of humanity. The Queen's glowing eyes, still luminous with residual cosmic light, studied him with an expression that combined awe, respect, and something faintly resembling gratitude. "Humans," she murmured softly, her voice barely audible over the lingering hum of the engine. "You are remarkable." Rian allowed himself a faint, tired smile. He flexed his fingers, feeling the energy still coursing lightly beneath his skin. It was no longer a searing pulse, but a gentle resonance, almost alive, a subtle reminder of the bond he now shared with the core of the universe's oldest machine. He straightened slowly, taking in the enormity of what had been accomplished. "We did not just survive," he said, his voice low, almost reverent. "We changed something. We preserved it. We endured." The Queen's gaze flickered toward the pulsing core. Her eyes softened. "You walked into something that no one else dared touch. And you did not just endure. You integrated. You guided it without letting it consume you. You—" Her words faltered for the first time, a rare vulnerability piercing her usually commanding presence. "You are unlike any being I have ever known." Rian nodded. "Humans, we have a way of showing up in the worst possible moments. And somehow we survive." He took a step forward, careful, deliberate. The light around him rippled, subtle waves of energy caressing his body without threat, acknowledging him as its steward. Each step was both grounding and humbling. He could feel the engine watching him, learning from him, trusting him. And that trust, it was heavier than any weight he had carried. The Queen moved to stand beside him, adjusting her stance on the unstable floor. "You will bear this power for a long time," she said quietly, her claws brushing against the cracked stone. "It is not just energy. It is responsibility. And humans, you carry it with remarkable disregard for your own safety." "I did not carry it alone," Rian said, glancing at her. "You were here. You helped me survive. You reminded me of balance when it all threatened to tear me apart." His eyes met hers, a spark of connection bridging the gulf between human and alien, mortal and near immortal. For the first time, there was no tension, no battle of will, no threat looming over them. Only shared understanding, forged in fire and light. The chamber trembled faintly, a gentle reminder that the engine was alive, awake and aware. But it was not violent. It was harmonious. A symphony of cosmic logic and human intuition intertwined. Rian could sense a potential for both creation and destruction, yet now tempered by the careful balance he had imposed. Worlds, civilizations, stars, and possibilities stretched infinitely around them, stabilized to a fragile but undeniable equilibrium. Rian walked slowly toward the center of the room, toward the glowing core. The pendant, once a separate key, now lay dormant against his chest. Its energy merged seamlessly with the engine. He reached out, letting his fingers hover above the light, feeling the pulse of a universe contained in the palm of his consciousness. Each ripple of energy spoke of possibility, of life preserved, of future secured against the chaos that had once threatened to erase them all. The Queen watched him closely, her normally rigid form softened by awe. "Do you feel it?" she asked. "I feel it," Rian said. "I feel the weight of every choice, every action that led to this moment. I feel every life that could have ended, and every life that will continue because we stood here." He inhaled slowly, letting the gravity of the moment settle into his bones. "And I feel the responsibility to guide it, to be vigilant, to ensure that this power, no matter how infinite, is wielded not recklessly, but with purpose." A calm hum resonated through the chamber, the sound of the engine recognizing his understanding. The light flowed around them, no longer harsh or threatening, but soothing, a gentle radiance that washed over every surface. Dust motes floated like celestial bodies, illuminated in miniature by the soft glow. The Queen reached out, her hand brushing against the energy without resistance, a rare touch of acceptance. "You have done what even the greatest civilizations failed to do," she said. Her tone was quiet, almost intimate. "You are a testament to the human spirit, fearless, unpredictable, and impossibly enduring." Rian smiled faintly, feeling the exhaustion seep into him, yet tempered by a profound sense of purpose. "We adapt," he said. "We survive. And sometimes we are lucky enough to make a difference that matters." He turned his gaze outward, seeing the chamber, the broken empire around them, and the vast expanse of space beyond. That is what it means to be human. The Queen's eyes lingered on him, luminous and inscrutable. Your species has a quality that cannot be replicated, a defiance that persists even against impossible odds. And somehow you have harnessed it to save not just yourselves, but countless others. Rian exhaled, letting the residual hum of the engine settle into his bones. Every breath he took was lighter, steadier, grounded in the knowledge that they had endured. He could feel the slow stabilization of the chamber, the repair of fractured energy threads, the quieting of forces that had once threatened to obliterate worlds. The light pulsed gently, a heartbeat in rhythm with his own. For a moment, silence enveloped them, heavy with the weight of survival and the beauty of what they had accomplished. The ruins of Ariane, 9 glimmered faintly under the soft glow, shadows softened into shapes that suggested not only destruction, but also resilience, a testament to the impermanence and enduring strength of life. Rian took another step, this time fully letting himself move without fear. Each footfall felt measured, intentional. The Queen followed, matching his pace, their presence together a symbol of human courage and alien acknowledgement. Together, they walked among the remnants of an empire that had once ruled with terror and might, now a quiet witness to the indomitable spirit of humanity. He turned his gaze upward, toward the core that now pulsed with gentle rhythm, alive but not threatening. He could feel its awareness, its recognition of him, the bond they shared solidified in energy and understanding. The future was not written in stone, but in the careful dance between choice, courage, and action. Rian exhaled, a deep, steadying breath, letting the residual energy flow through him, leaving traces of warmth and light in his veins. "We will endure," he said softly, more to himself than to anyone else. "Humans endure." The Queen stepped closer, her voice a soft hum. "You have reminded me, Rian Hale, that even in a universe ruled by ancient powers, intelligence, and unfathomable machines, one species persists, undaunted, unpredictable, and alive in ways that defy expectation." He smiled faintly, exhaustion and triumph intermingling. "That is the thing about humans. We persist. We adapt. We survive. And sometimes we change a universe without meaning to." The light of the engine pulsed around them, a living aurora of cosmic acknowledgement. And for a brief, shining moment, the chamber felt alive not with danger, but with possibility. The debris, the shattered platforms, the fragments of civilizations long fallen, all of it seemed to shimmer with the knowledge that survival was possible, even in the face of unimaginable odds. Rian stepped fully onto ground, feeling the solidness of the earth beneath his feet once more. The Queen mirrored his action, standing beside him, her form gleaming faintly in the ambient light. Their proximity was no longer adversarial. It was a partnership, forged in survival, trust, and shared recognition of the stakes they had overcome together. "We have survived," he said quietly, letting the words sink into the chamber like a benediction. "And we will continue to do so, not because we are stronger than the universe, but because we refuse to bow to it." The Queen's gaze softened, her voice a quiet acknowledgement. "You have proven something rare, human, that courage, intelligence, and stubbornness can shape outcomes even where power seems absolute. That even one human, properly guided, can influence the course of the universe." Rian nodded, feeling the gravity of her words and the weight of the engine's trust upon him. The hum of the core remained gentle, its energy a constant reminder that the universe itself now acknowledged the presence of a human hand guiding its potential, stabilizing the chaos, balancing the impossible forces that had once threatened to undo everything. He took a slow step toward the exit, toward the fractured remnants of the empire that had been both witness and threat, feeling the subtle resonance of the engine flowing through him. Each step was deliberate, carrying both triumph and vigilance. The Queen followed silently, the unspoken acknowledgement of partnership and respect bridging the gap between their species, their histories, their destinies. Rian paused at the threshold of the chamber, glancing back at the glowing core. "We have survived," he said softly again, almost a promise. "And we will face whatever comes next, together." The Queen inclined her head, a rare gesture of respect and recognition. "Together," she echoed. Beyond the chamber, the stars of Orion, 9 shimmered in the distance, distant suns illuminating a universe that had been preserved, stabilized, and protected by humans' courage and indomitable will. The shards of past civilizations, the broken architecture, and the echoes of ancient empires seemed to hum in quiet approval, the universe itself acknowledging that human ingenuity and resilience had once again proven that no force, ancient, alien, or cosmic, could underestimate them. Rian inhaled deeply, feeling both the exhaustion and the exhilaration of surviving the impossible. The Queen stood beside him, a silent sentinel of silver and light. Around them, the remnants of the throne chamber, the fractured bridges, and the softened glow of the engine created a space suspended between past destruction and future possibility, a liminal zone where the legacy of human courage and intelligence had been etched into the very fabric of existence. He took a final step forward, allowing the light of the core to pulse one last, soft beat around him. "Humans endure," he whispered. "We adapt, we survive, and sometimes we change the universe." The Queen's eyes met his, shimmering with faint acknowledgement. "And sometimes," she said softly, "we learn that courage and intelligence can outmatch even the oldest, most dangerous power in the cosmos." The light from the sovereign engine dimmed gently, flowing around them without force or threat, as if content to allow the human and the alien to leave the chamber intact, their presence now a part of its stabilized sequence. Rian turned toward the shattered exit, stepping forward with slow, deliberate confidence, each footfall a reminder of human perseverance and extraordinary strength of will. The Queen followed, matching his pace, their bond forged in energy, survival, and recognition of each other's courage. The universe stretched outward, vast and full of danger, challenge, and infinite possibility. Yet for the first time, it seemed a little less hostile, tempered by the indomitable spirit of humanity and the unexpected partnership between human and alien queen. The chamber, the engine, the ruins, all shimmered faintly in their wake, the echoes of their presence lingering like a quiet testament to endurance. Rian Hale walked forward, the light of the engine pulsing softly around him, carrying with him not just survival, but the enduring proof that human courage, intelligence, and stubborn defiance could rise to meet even the universe's oldest threats. The Queen walked beside him, her luminous form reflecting in the soft radiance, a silent witness to human tenacity. And beyond the chamber, beyond the broken empire, beyond the stars, the universe waited, not with fear, but with cautious hope. Rian inhaled once more, steadying himself against the weight of what he had become, and stepped fully into the unknown.